Welcome to the Entrepreneurial CEO Podcast, where we dive into the real stories behind building and scaling a business. Each episode, we sit down with CEOs, founders, and leaders to uncover hard-won lessons in leadership, systems, and team building. Listen in each week to learn directly from real business leaders who have been in your shoes, had success, made the mistakes, and all of the messiness that comes with building a business. If you're ready to learn from real-world leaders and gain insights you can apply today, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Chase, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody. Today's guest is Chase Coleman. He's the co-founder of Rental Management Group, full-service residential real estate investment firm that's based in Texas. Alongside his wife, they've been in the property management since 2005. They built an amazing operation, handle everything from leasing to property management to flips, buy holds, investor services, and they've grown over the past years. Got a great, strong management core, and are an amazing reputation for delivering results on the portfolio and for their clients. So Chase, thanks so much for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I don't know if I have much more to add to that. You did a good job. So yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, that's pretty much us in a nutshell. Me and my wife are, the owner operators on, small business. So it's been fun. Obviously a lot of challenges and some growth, and all that good stuff that goes with it. So yeah, appreciate the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe just to kick things off, tell us how you got into it. The story of how you built it with your wife and got things going, and what made you choose this?
So, for whatever reason, growing up, I've always had this idea of investing in real estate. Even when I was in high school, because I always heard that all the rich people they had real estate. So it was always in my mind, but not necessarily hey, I don't know how I was going to do it, but I guess just that kind of pulled me towards it in a sense. I guess the universe kind of conspired towards that, um, but my wife, she actually in college, her first job was at a property management firm. So
Hmm.
she had been doing this even before we had met. Everything kind of all came together. I was actually doing sales. I sold cell phones, back in my day. And then that kind of, once I met my wife, still doing the cell phone thing, but, that just kind of naturally progressed into, really selling the biggest ticket item I could, which is, homes. I got into sales and she was doing property management. And then at some point we just figured, hey, let's just start our own thing. I'm good at sales. You're good at, property management. I think we kind of can build this thing up into something that's our own because, I was doing sales for Remax. I had my own little team and everything. And she was still working for the large companies. So we just decided to start our own thing, man, back in 2017. And here we are today. So yeah, it just kind of naturally progressed into that. And, now it's more, for us, we obviously do the management side, but, really try to be more investor focused, even with our own, personal stuff with flips and buy and holds and things like that. And, it all kind of works together with, our clients and our team and, what we do personally. And, so yeah, that's kind of how we got going. And, like I said, here we are today. So
You just took the plunge. I love it. Well, I'm curious. Two questions. When you were starting the business, was it all just bootstrap, self-funded? Did you have to go out and raise money? And then question two, I've actually had a couple people on the show recently who have partnered with their spouse. How's that
yeah.
been? Is that, any secrets for making that work?
Good
Yeah.
question. Good questions. On the first part, we actually had a partner in the business to begin with. They seeded the company, and at some point, they were 50% owner, but we were doing 100% of the work.
Mhm.
So it didn't make sense, right? So we ended up buying them out, and then we're the sole owners here. But as far as the dynamic between my wife, we both definitely understand like our strengths. I'm definitely more of like the visionary salesperson, and she's more of kind of the executor, integrator, numbers person. So I think that dynamic has allowed us to stay in our lane and be able to work together, in a pretty good capacity. Obviously there's challenges, around that. A lot of times things bleed over, to the personal side and vice versa. So, you really have to, make sure that you have some, I guess, checks and balances in place to push through that. Like just this morning we have we run on EOS. And if you don't know, it's Entrepreneurial Operating System. I'm sure that's probably come up here at some point. But we do same page meetings for us, and that's both for personal things and business things. So we just literally had a same page meeting, 30 minutes. So that way we just make sure we're on the same page with everything, and then we can just go execute, for the coming days. So yeah, like I said, it has its challenges. But it works well, I think, because we both have our strengths, which are unique to the business, and complement each other. So it's been good.
That's awesome. Tell me about the same page meeting. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, so we're tinkering with the cadence. It used to be on Monday mornings. We both found that didn't work for us. So we're trying to do it once a week. But now we're moving into just like a 10-minute, 15-minute huddle. And basically what we do is just go over, what our day is going to be like, if anything is needed. And this can be all, business and personal. So like we literally discuss like dinner. We discuss like what we're doing that day, what's going on with the kids, all that good stuff. And just make sure that we're, the expectations are set, and there's no surprises. I mean, obviously things change, as things progress through the day. So there's you're not going to be 100% prepared for everything, but at least we know, kind of where we are, what we're working on, what the goals are, what the expectations are. And it really just it eliminates conflict, on the back end. Is kind of what we see. But the agenda, we talk about our calendars, um, the personal side, the kids, food is an agenda item, and then and then all the business stuff, anything that we need to make decisions on with the business. So yeah, it's really helped.
Is this daily?
I think we're gonna move it into daily. It was
Okay.
once a week, where we were meeting for like an hour and a half, but I
Oh,
think
wow.
we're gonna move
Yeah.
it to, maybe 10 to 15 minutes just right in the morning and just go,
Yeah.
because sometimes you're planning on the big meetings once a week. Sometimes you go over things, but by a few days later things have changed, and it's we're gonna start doing it more of a daily activity at this point. So
Yeah.
to
And is that just you? Because I know you have a team.
right.
Are other team members involved, or is it just you and the wife?
No, it's just me and my wife. That's just our same page meeting. We do have two other team meetings. We have our Tuesday, what we call in the business meeting, and then we have our Thursday on the business meeting. So in the business is everything that's going on with our clients, the residents, the properties, all that. And then on the businesses, okay, what issues came up this week process wise, or is there anything that we need to solve, that we can maybe implement some tech, or what we're looking at to be a little bit more efficient. So more on the business, discussions, and we have that with the full team for both meetings. So the meeting that we're referencing, the same page, that's just for me and my wife, which are considered
Yeah.
the leadership team.
Yeah.
And then we have the team meetings twice a week. Yeah, and then we
Awesome.
also have one-on-one meetings. So I try to meet with each team member at least every month, 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. Um, so yeah, so yeah, that's kind of that really is the meeting schedule
Yeah.
that I just
No,
laid
it's
out.
great. I
So
mean, I think um, I like the same page meeting. When we think about our meeting cadence, so MAP is similar to EOS, a little bit different. It's all about like the intention of the meeting, right? Making sure there's a goal associated with it. So like the daily huddles, I think are awesome with certain teams, but just keeping them really tight, right? So, hey, this is going to be 15 minutes tops. We're not going to sit here and go deep into a subject. If you have to go deep, that's, you take that outside. But it's like,
Yeah.
hey, what are the top 3 things you're working on? Do you have any blockers? Any great wins to share with the team, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Get out of there. Make sure everybody is on the same page and we understand what everybody's working on, or if they need to pull in a different team member. I think those are great huddles, similar to what the same page meeting you mentioned, but like we used to have them with the different departments. So like everybody's
Right.
coordinated. And then, zooming out from that, we have what's called the monthly vital factor team meetings where it's like, hey, as a team, we're getting together to go through and look at over the past 30 days, like what's working, what's not working, what do we need to fix? If we look at like what we call the vital factor metrics, the KPIs for the business, the health score, like
Yeah.
are things green? Are they red? Like where do we need to recalibrate? Right. So that
Yeah.
it's kind of like zooming out for a second to say, okay, guys, we've been like heads down, banging on the business for 30 days. Okay, let's take a minute and look at it and say, okay, do we need to change anything? Where do we need to reallocate? Right. So like that's the intention of that meeting. And I love that. It sounds like you got some of that going on today, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all kind of the same, wrapped around the same idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just making sure that we're on just on the same page with everything and moving towards, kind of our, uh, we're keeping the main thing, and make sure that we're staying on that track. So,
Keeping the main thing. That's that. I think
yeah,
I just heard that yesterday from somebody else,
yeah,
and I like that. Right? It's like making sure you're
yeah,
really focused on what matters.
right, right,
Um,
exactly.
so when you look at the business today, like what are some of the biggest operational challenges that you have?
You know, the more we've um That's a good question. But I think the more that we've really tried to focus on finding the right people in our business, what we're calling super who's, and compensating them like super who's, the operational stuff starts to almost be non-existent because they and you have to find people that align with an entrepreneurial type business, right? Because
Yeah.
there are people that are very good, but they're more of a corporate bureaucracy type of person, right? They have security in their salary, and they like to just run on their SOPs, and that's it.
Hmm.
Whereas an entrepreneurial company, we're always changing, always trying to get better. So you have to have people that are aligned with that. Um, so when you find the super who's and they're aligned with that mindset, they almost create their own operation within their own departments, so to
Yeah.
speak, like their own role, right? So so we found the more that we don't have to lay out like this is how, like we know what the result is. And we were at the point where we laid out the full process to get to that result, and then we were sticking somebody on that process. But we found that the super who's, you just tell them the result and they already have their own process because they've already done it. So you just get out of their way, right? And they hold themselves accountable. And I know that's something that we wanted to talk about here, but they almost hold themselves accountable. I mean, we have the metric and the KPI that says this is the result we want, but we don't ever have to coach them through that or anything because they're already producing the results. They're a super who. I think a lot of times in service-based business, sorry, Andrew, a lot of times, essentially what you're doing in a service-based business is you're buying labor, you're packaging it as value, and then you're selling it to the market. So what you're looking at is like, how can I find the cheapest labor, right? So like that is the metric that say I don't need to find the cheapest labor, and then I need to, because that's a cost control piece, right? But I'm finding that if you really pay for good labor, your value in the markets, you almost become non-competitive. Like you're not even competing against anybody because your value is so great to people. So operationally, to answer your question, to kind of go back to your question, there's always going to be operational challenges as we scale because we have to implement new technologies that are scalable. Obviously new people enter the business as we scale, so we always have to kind of figure out that aspect of it. But I think we're starting to get more away from trying to build the business ourselves and sticking somebody on there rather than just saying, hey, this is where we're going. Like, this is the result we need. Whatever help you need, whatever tools or anything you need, we're on board with that. Like, you run with it. Like, you're the expert in that. in that part. We just kind of stay out of the way and stay in the lane. And a lot of times we find that they do things better than we thought because as the owner, we're like, okay, this is what I think it should look like. But you bring in that super who and they just blow you out of the water. You're like, I didn't even think about it like that. Yes, let's do that. So, it's this game of, finding, obviously there's a balance, you have to have a profitable business and that type of thing. But really, if you find really good people, you don't even have to really worry too much about the operations because they have it, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love that. I totally agree with you. You're talking about getting A+ players, not even A players, A+
Yeah.
players, right? Like the people that can really elevate the entire organization. And I'm just waiting I've seen it go the opposite direction so many times, especially working with like venture-backed companies where you said one thing, which I completely agree with. I always say that the person you hire needs to align with the stage of the business you're in, right? And so what I've seen happen so many times, you'll have a newer stage startup, and let's say they want to hire a VP of sales. Well, they'll go out in the market and they'll say, well, this VP of sales used to work at this enterprise company. And oh my God, they're just like awed by the logos they've worked with, or they worked at Google. Well, they're not going to work at your startup. It's just not going to pan out because, like you said, they're used to this huge organization and bureaucracy and the pace and whatever. It's a different culture. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I've seen it just chaos all the time. I agree. Yeah, man. I love the fact that bringing A+ players and let them go. I still think you need inspect what you expect, right? You still need the
Yeah.
mechanism to make sure that there's they're actually doing the thing. But yeah, they can have transformative impact on the company when you get the right people. So how do you go about finding those super who's, as you call them?
Hi, if you're a CEO out there who's struggling with focus for your company, aligning your team, accountability, if you're struggling with execution, connecting the dots from where you're at to where you want to be, we've got a great program for you here at MAP. My name is Michael Cato. I'm the CEO. Most importantly, I was a client for 15 years, sold my company to a public company, and then bought MAP so that we can help other entrepreneurs with this specific problem. We're a 60-year-old company. We've worked with 170,000 individual executives and CEOs. We've worked with 15,000 organizations. This is what we do. Click the link below to learn a little bit more about how people just like you, CEOs, have transformed their business and ultimately transformed their life by running through the MAP system.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the key thing for us is other super who's know other super who's, right? So a lot of our team is actually people that already knew each other. And the key factor, Andrew, is you have to, as a leader, you have to create a big vision, a big future, because that's what people want to be a part of. Like, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that maybe get into a business because they're good at something and they just maybe want to have the freedom of time or something like that. But they're just maybe operational, like they just execute, but they're not able to create a big vision. And that's what people want to be a part of. And we really try to, the other thing is with the Super Who's, for us, we really try to do a good job investing in their goals and dreams. Like that comes up in the one-on-ones. Like, what are your goals and dreams? Like, we want to know that. So, and we're trying to do everything that we can to help them achieve that. So, for instance, one of our guys that we actually found, he might be our biggest A player, but he's in Mexico, and we found him. We actually found him through a VA company. Actually, he was referred to us. But he wants to live in the States. So we've literally had conversations with attorneys even recently to get him over here and bring his family over here to live in the States. Like we want to know what their goals and dreams are. And it's one of those things where you invest in them, they invest back into you. And, it's just
That's
kind
right.
of the way things work. But you have to really cast a big vision. And you have to help them see a bigger future as well. So when you do that, you're really able to one retain them because they want to be a part of it, um, but kind of to go back on what you were saying is you almost create an attraction towards your business, right? So like we have people out in the marketplace that when we do business, people are literally asking our people, like our team members, hey, how can I join you guys? Like, I want to join you guys, because
Wow.
that's just the type of, it's just kind of the message we put out there. Like we're trying to do, we have a big vision of the future. So, and you start to you start to even attract super who's in that, in that case. But yeah, to answer your question, super who's know other super who's, and you create a big vision. They'll people will be attracted. So
Mm,
you don't even have to go and look. They'll come find you.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you have a relatively small team today.
Yeah.
You're growing. I'm sure you're working a lot in the business, also working on the business. It's a lot to juggle and manage.
Yeah.
And in addition, you're talking about proactively identifying ways that you can invest into your people and bring them along, and do things for them. And how do you balance all that? Like, are you like allocating time? How are you making sure that you're moving all those balls forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing for us just now with anything is starting to create time constraints around things, because that's when you start to weed out the BS, right? So like we had with EOS, they want to know your 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal, right? That we don't have that. That's our 3-year goal. Our 3-year goal is now our 1-year goal. And these things that we're trying to accomplish, we're really trying to put a time constraint on it, because what that does, like I said, is force out the pathways that shouldn't even be there, right? So like you start eliminating the BS that doesn't support those things. It's just like when you go on vacation, right? You set a vacation, when are you the most productive? Literally the day before the vacation, you get everything done, right? So when you set these deadlines and these time constraints, it forces you to really focus on the most important things and either delegate or weed out the things that shouldn't exist, right? So that's really kind of the key factor for us. Just kind of shrinking that time. So yeah, we look at quarters as 1 years. Like what can we do? Like what in the past was taking us a year, let's try to do that in our quarter now. So we've literally shrunk everything down, and it's amazing how much more productive you are, because you're not, because there's, Parkinson's law, right? You're going to fill the time that's allocated, no matter what the task is, right? So like, or what the set of tasks are. So if you give me 40 hours in a week for three tasks, I'm going to fill that 40 hours to get those 3 tasks done, right? Same thing, if you gave me 10 hours and you gave me those 3 tasks, I'll get those 3 tasks done, because I'm going to eliminate all the BS that shouldn't exist, whether that's scrolling on your phone and Facebook, or, getting water cooler talk, or, whatever. Like it's just unproductive, man. So yeah, just creating the time constraints around that, and it forces out, all the stuff that shouldn't exist, really. So.
Okay. I like that. I like that pressure. Pressure on the team, pressure on the business to move as fast as possible. So when you look at the business, um, do you have monthly meetings with the team, or like cadence like I talked about earlier?
Yeah. So we have the 2 meetings per week, one in the business, one on the business, and then I try to meet with the team at least once a month, everyone individually, one-on-one.
Okay. And do you have
Yeah.
like a dashboard that you're looking at with your metrics for the business, in terms of leading or lagging vital factors, or we call them vital factors, but KPIs, like how are you tracking the health of the business?
Yeah, we have a scorecard. We use 90.io, which is an EOS system.
Okay.
So yeah, they have a scorecard in there, so we have all the metrics. Everyone has a metric that's tied to their role.
Mm,
So yeah, we have
I
a
like that.
scorecard. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, then how to hold everybody accountable in terms of the metrics, right? You can look at like how they're tracking over time and how they're performing according to their goals. I imagine you have goals for them as well as the metrics.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
Nice.
we monitor all that, look at the trends. We talk about what's working, what's not working, if there's, a big variance and that type of thing. So yeah, yes, we like, you manage what you measure, right? So like,
Hmm.
if you don't measure, you can't manage it. So,
Yep.
it's kind of the thought there, but yeah, we
Which
have
is
a
true, but
scorecard.
for me, I'm a data junkie, so I have a tendency to like measure too much. I want to have all the data, but like you
Yeah.
can't, right? You got to really hone it down on the most important. And so we call them like the
Right.
vital factors. You really make sure that, is this really crucial to the business? If I'm tracking everything, not everything's important.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a data junkie too. I'm a big baseball fan, so I like all the, all that stuff. But what you learn is you can make data say anything, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of variables that sometimes, like data analytics, is really, you can look at the same set of data and you can get 500 different answers on what it says, right? Like, because there are factors a lot of times that need to be considered that aren't very present in the data. So, uh, we try to have. I think we probably have, I want to say 12 metrics that we look at as far as in the business, and then
Okay.
we look at 3 on the business metrics, which really kind of tell us what we need to know.
Okay.
Because I think if we get too far into it, it kind of gets, like you said, it can get messy, and
Mhm.
you overanalyze, right? So, yeah. So,
Yeah, you're just not being efficient. That seems like a healthy number. Um, we didn't talk about this before, but I'm curious, with the advancement in AI, are you guys weaving that into the business at all? Or how are you guys using that?
So we have a lot of partnerships and tech that we use, and they are all, obviously on the AI train. So
Yeah.
we're kind of moving with them. I wouldn't say quite yet that we've taken an AI piece and ourselves and implemented into the business. We're kind of letting the vendors, kind of control that.
Okay.
Obviously it is a thing, right? But our goal, our goal is changing lives through real estate. Like, that is our mission, right? So that there is a huge people component to that. Like, it is people driven, like 100%. So for us, I almost look at it the other way. As things get more technical, um, the world gets more technical and relies on tech. I want to get more personal, because everybody, and I'm not saying that we won't use AI, because every AI is part of, like, the, obviously all the tech that we're using, and that, we'll let them drive that. And we're obviously monitoring things and seeing how things are changing in our industry. But the more technical and technological advanced that things get, I want to get more personal. Like, that's always the way I've looked at things. Like, when everybody else is weaving, we're going the other direction. So, um, so yeah, AI, to answer your question, yes, it's being used in the tech that we use, and we're adopting that as they go.
Hmm.
But we are not necessarily looking at an AI piece to like run our business in a sense. So yeah, obviously it's a thing. A lot of people are, really trying to see where it's positioned in the market, and kind of testing things. But we let the people that run, like, we're not a tech company, right? So, like, we'll let the tech companies do the tech stuff, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, for our business, certainly not a tech company, but we always look at, are there ways that, you mentioned before, uh, we think about it like, can I automate this? Can I delegate this? Can I eliminate this? And so for some of these, we look at a process and we say, okay, is there a way that we can streamline or make this more efficient using AI,
Yeah.
using an agent? Is there some way? Now, I also agree with you. I don't want to talk as a consumer. I don't want to talk to an AI bot. I just
Right.
don't,
Right.
unless it's like something really simple. But most of the time, I want to talk to a human, especially for a
Yeah.
high ticket purchase, right? Like,
Right.
I don't want to talk to a bot. So we feel the same way. Our clients are super important. We're going to talk to you.
Mhm.
Hopefully in person. It's just that's how you build a relationship.
Right.
But the back office stuff, the admin stuff, a lot of that can be automated. Which is great. And that makes your business more efficient. It makes you faster, makes you,
Scalable.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just thinking through ways that you can implement the tools in that way.
Yeah, yeah, and we do. We're a very high tech company. But, like, for us, like, we've been well, we have a vendor that's wanting us to adopt AI voice answering service.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our key metric is what's the percentage of phone calls that we answer in person? And it's literally at 100%. Like we have a person almost dedicated to the phones for the most part, and then we have backup people to answer the phones. Like, because I'm the same way. Like I want to talk to an actual person. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
go through. You get so frustrated and you hang up and you don't even want to do business, and it's like that type of thing. So that is actually one of our KPIs. Like, what is our call answer rate? And it's at 100%, and we're gonna keep it that way. And that's just we want to try to keep the human factor as much as we can. But yes, like you were saying, if there's things that can be automated, we're definitely, that's definitely a consideration for us.
Well, I mean, I almost think of it this way. It's like um, the companies that can afford I think the majority of the companies that can afford to have the bots answering the phone are the ones where you really don't have a choice, but you have to use their, like my bank.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm not going to go away from my bank or
Yeah.
Delta, right? Like I'm flying with your plane. I can't, if you have a bot answer the phone, it's not that I could do, but local plumber or HVAC, like, okay, I might call somebody else. I have options.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
different,
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
So looking at the business, over the next, you mentioned you compress things, maybe you view things differently, quarter versus year, et cetera. But looking at the next 12 months, what are you guys focused on? What are your top priorities and what are potential challenges that might get in the way?
Yeah, for us, so our core business is property management. But what what we've done is kind of through the years, we've identified what our ideal client is, like what the avatar is, like, what that looks like. So we have our ideal client. And really for us, it's investors, remote investors that are looking in the Houston market, because the Houston market is pretty good. There's some factors that are changing. Insurance, there's starting to be high risk things for weather and things like that. So the margins are starting to shrink for investors. But I feel like the things that we offer on the management side, and what we're starting to offer, can still be a good investment in the Houston market for our clients, because we want actual investors, and that's what we've kind of identified. And I think there's a lot of reasons around that. So what we're starting to do now is our projects, our actual residential projects, are more focused on having turnkey rentals available for the investor. So we're basically creating the product that's going to attract our ideal client. So that's what our focus is right now. Um, and it's really just kind of all around growth, right? We want to grow to a certain door count, and work with the clients that we want to work with. So kind of this past, I would say, this past quarter, there was a lot of shedding that we've done. We've actually gotten rid of some clients, and we've actually we got rid of some team members that really don't fit that vision going forward. And there's going to be, like we mentioned before, there's going to be some operational challenges around that. But and we're looking at tech on on some things that we can do around that, so that way it's scalable, like we talked about. But really just kind of centered around growth. But kind of the key to that is having a product available to our current client base that they can acquire, and continue to grow their portfolio, or offer that to the market, as well, and attract that same kind of client. So we're really kind of focusing more on a turnkey product for our current clients, and like the clients that we want to bring on. So that's kind of the focus for the next 12 months, and it's all centered around growth. So that's kind of where we're at this point. So
Awesome. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. Before we wrap up, where can folks go to learn more about the business, or maybe connect with you?
Yeah. You can always go to our website, rentalmanagementgroup.net. and you can learn more about our team and us and what we do on the property management side. And you can get to me through there as well. There's a link to schedule a call that'll get to me. So yeah, so if you're interested in investing in Houston, or you have Houston, real estate long-term investing needs, then we'd be happy to to go over what we offer, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I appreciate. I'm assuming that's the end here, Andrew. So
Yeah,
I appreciate the time and you having me today.
that was great, Chase. Thank you. I know you're busy, especially with the summer and kids and everything else, and the busy time of year for you. So we appreciate your time. Thank you, and thank you everybody for listening. And we will see you next time.
All right, thanks, Andrew.